Quite honestly. Play action from Purdy. This is picked. That's Joseph again. His second of the night, his ninth of the year.
Elbow, forearm, he's going to be down.
The result of the play is a touchdown.
And the flag that was thrown on this was picked up.
I don't know, did it get the face mask?
Only do that if you're telling the official you're reporting.
The Lions hangover.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Brad. You are listening to the Lions Hangover Podcast, Postgame Edition. Lions defeat the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers of San Francisco by a score of 40-34. Lions are the only team to finish undefeated on the road this season at 8-0. Before we dive in, please, everybody, if you could rate and subscribe to the game. Rate and subscribe to the podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. Of course, you can always find me on all of the social medias, X, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks for joining me. Late one, Monday Night Football, ESPN, Troy Aikman, or as I like to call him, Vanilla Jay-Z, and Mr. Joe Buck. And you can come up with your own nickname for Joe Buck. What a fun and frustrating and exciting and stressful game it was, especially in the first half, especially you could even probably say into the third quarter. Defense seems to have been left behind in Detroit because they did not show up for a long time. And then all of a sudden, Kerby Joseph gets a present from Brock Purdy, a belated Christmas present from Brock Purdy with his 8th interception. And that one really was a gift, you know, and then he gets the good play one, like the heads up play one later for his 9th interception. And that leads the entire NFL with interceptions with 9. So yeah, Lions, it's going to come down to next week against the Minnesota Vikings, and everybody's talking about how this is going to be the first, now that the Lions have won, that this will be the first time that a 14-win team will be the 5 seed. So, of course, obviously the winner next week becomes the 1 seed, loser becomes the 5 seed, and that's just the way it goes in the NFL. But, man, what a good game. I thought J-Mo had a fantastic game. Jared Goff played good, for the most part. Definitely not bad. That's not what I'm saying. But there were a few throws, and even J-Mo, while he didn't catch everything that came his way, he did fall down the one time, and then there was the bad throw from Goff on the play right before that. That was just a little bit too low. I thought St. Brown had a good but regular game. I thought Jahmyr Gibbs came out of the gate running strong. He looked fantastic. He had the big break there at the end, the big 30-yard run there at the end. I thought he looked great. He did kind of disappear a little bit after he had that laceration on his cheek, his left cheek. I'm actually surprised he stayed out for as long as he did. I wonder how he got that little scratch, that little scratchy boo-boo. Jack Campbell played great, but the defense did. It's weird, man. Kerby had a good game. I thought Brian Branch had a solid game. Pearsall, he was able to do pretty much what he wanted. That was like Purdy's favorite target, and Kittle. They both had great games against the Lions today. And Juwan Jennings, he started to have some good game. He was solid throughout, but here comes the Monday Night Football yawn. Juwan Jennings, he had a decent game, but he really came alive as soon as Dobbs came in after Purdy got injured. He injured his hand or something, so neither defense really played that great because, man, it's just, these are fun games, but it's just, it comes to a point where it's like, what's going to happen? And then, Jake Bates misses that extra point. It's blocked, that extra point was blocked. And then you're starting to wonder, what's going to happen. Because we couldn't stop the Niners. It wasn't until those interceptions. Once we got that first interception, it's like the Niners just sort of fell out of it a little bit, man. And that especially the second one, that was like the premature nail in the coffin. But you could just tell the Niners were kind of out of it after that. We'll break down the game in just a second. But man, let's just thinking about it. It was very, very frustrating to watch our defense just give up play after play to the San Francisco wide receivers. They didn't really run the ball as much as I thought they would. Brock Purdy really didn't run the ball as much as I thought he would. I definitely feel like there was more room for him to scramble. I thought Dobbs, when he came in, I thought he played well. Right at the end, he did what he could. Jake Moody had a horrible game for the Niners, and that's kind of thankful for us too, even though it really came down to that onside kick, which there have only been 3 completed so far, 3 out of 48 or something. But ultimately, the Lions did what needed to happen, and they won. Even though this was a meaningless game, I just wanted them to play. Just play everybody. I know you can't play scared. You can't play thinking of injury. I just feel like, the sharpest knife cuts the best. So you just want your guys out there. I'm not a fan of rust. We had rust at the beginning of the season. You could tell we had rust. Those first 3 games, it took a while before we started clicking. I don't like unnecessary rest. And I just feel like, 15-2 sounds a whole lot better than 14-3. So I would not have wanted to rest our guys, even though this game technically didn't mean anything. It means something to a lot of people. I think it's very important that we went undefeated on the road. I think it's very important that we are currently 14-2. I think we come away with enough frustration. Hey, we have to get our ass in shape. We have to play better on defense next week because this ain't going to cut it against Minnesota. So I think this was a successful win in the sense that, okay, our offense is clicking, and our defense sucked enough to where they will have it together when it comes time to play against Minnesota. And I believe we're going to beat Minnesota. There's no way I feel like we're going to lose. I also feel like it was important to win because had we lost today, and for whatever reason we tied next week against Minnesota, we would have gotten the 5 seed. That tie would have gone in favor of Minnesota. So it's very important that that we won today. So it wasn't completely meaningless. I know there's such a slim chance of a tie happening, but it's just eliminate it. Just eliminate that option, because now if a tie happens, we have the tiebreaker. So that's just how it goes. So thankfully, the Lions took care of business. Monday Night Football, a little bit of a short week. They do have the last game of the season, as it has been announced that we will play Sunday Night Football, 8 o'clock next week on Peacock or NBC, whatever you watch yours on. So, all right, let's get over this. Ricky Purcell started the scoring with a 3-yard pass from Brock Purdy. That made it 7-0. Jamison Williams, he gets a 3-yard rush. I thought he did good. That Jake Bates PAT was blocked, though. That keeps the score at 7-6. Then Kyle Juszczyk, he gets a 9-yard pass from Purdy. That makes it 14-6. Jamison Williams with a 41-yard touchdown pass from Goff, 14-13. Brock Purdy, 9-yard rush, making it 21-13. Sam Laporta, he gets his touchdown of the day, and then they go for 2. Tim Patrick gets that 2-point conversion. That makes it 21-21. Next, we got Deebo Samuel. He gets a 5-yard pass from Brock Purdy, making it 28-21. Then we have the Jake Bates field goal, 57-yarder. Man, I loved seeing it. They didn't have to do Jake Bates like that either. You didn't have to show him on TV, stretching out his leg, whatever he was doing, stretching out his hips. That was a very awkward shot. The cameraman should have known better. They did not need to show that. They could have just showed him walking around on the sideline as they were talking about him using like a softball or something like that to roll around on his quad or whatever he was trying to, get a knot out of. I almost said nut, but get a knot out of. But yeah, so Jake Bates, he makes that 57-yard field goal. Next, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown with his touchdown, 4 yards, the 4-yard pass. I just want to assume that everybody knows that the ball comes from Jared Goff, but it's not always a pass. Sometimes it's a run, like the JMO 3-yard run, in the first quarter. So Amon-Ra gets touchdown, 4-yard pass from Jared Goff. That makes the score 31-28, and that's all because of that interception from Purdy, by Kerby Joseph. Then we have another Jake Bates 42-yard field goal. That makes it 34-28. Then Jahmyr Gibbs went supersonic with a 30-yard touchdown run. That makes the score 40-28, and then Josh Dobbs runs it in, making it 40-34, and that was the final of the score. The Niners dropped to 6-10 on the season, and like I said, the Lions go up to 14-2. So let's talk about all of the stats. We start with the bad guys first. Brock Purdy went 27-35 for 377 yards. That is a career high for him. He has 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was sacked twice. He does finish the game with a 116 quarterback rating. Josh Dobbs went 3 of 4 for 35 yards, and he rushed for that 1 touchdown. Not too many rushing. Well, I guess that's pretty standard. Isaac Guerendo, I'm not sure how he says his name. He ran the ball 9 times for 34 yards. I actually thought they were doing okay. They just got away from the run a little bit. Debo ran the ball 3 times for 16 yards. Purdy had 3 rushes for 12 yards. Dobbs had 1 rush for 7 yards. And Pearsall had rushed the ball twice for 6 yards. Okay, Pearsall led the team with receptions at 8. George Kittle tied him with 8 as well. But Pearsall had 141 yards receiving, plus that 1 touchdown, his longest being 40 yards. Kittle, 8 catches for 112 yards, 22 being his longest. Juwan Jennings, 7 catches, 67 yards, 15 being his longest. Isaac Guerendo, God, I wish I'm saying this right. 4 catches for 65 yards. And then there's a couple other guys with just a few catches. I guess I should say Kyle Juszczyk, he had a catch for 9 yards. And the touchdown, and Debo had a catch for 5 yards with the 1 touchdown as well. Fumbles, though. Debo Samuel did fumble the ball 1 time. They got it back, though. Nobody lost the ball on the fumble. Their top 5 leading tacklers is Lenore. He had 9 tackles. Nick Bosa had 8 tackles. Also, he had 2 sacks. D. Winters had 8 tackles. Isaac Yodom, he had 7 tackles. And Talanoa Hufanga had 6 tackles as well. Fred Warner also had 6 tackles. And then Jake Moody, he went 0 for 2 on his field goals. Man, that was the deciding factor. They lost by 6, so that was the determining factor right there. He was 4 for 5. He also missed an extra point. That was his first miss, I think, on an extra point all season long, so he came in with 4 points on the day. There were 71,688 people there at Levi Stadium. Lots of Lions fans. You could hear them chanting that Jared Goff, who, by the way, went 26 of 34 for 303 yards on the day with 3 touchdowns. He was sacked twice. He finished with a quarterback rating of 132.4. What is this, 6 games now? 6 or 7 games of a quarterback rating of at least 130? Something ridiculous like that. Jahmyr Gibbs ran the ball 18 times for 117 yards, 1 touchdown. Craig Reynolds 7 times for 31 yards. Jamar Jefferson, he ran the ball 3 times for 9 yards. JMO ran the ball twice for -2, and Jared Goff 3 for -3. JMO caught the ball 5 times. He did lead the team with yards. He had 77 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Laporta, 6 catches, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. St. Brown, 8 catches, 60 yards, 1 touchdown. Gibbs had 4 catches for 46. Reynolds, 2 catches for 35. And Allen Robinson, who had a fantastic sideline catch, caught the ball 1 time for 21 yards. Top 5 tacklers for the Lions defense. Jack Campbell, 9 tackles. Brian Branch, 7 tackles, and he had the sack. Terrion Arnold, 6 tackles. Kerby Joseph, 6 tackles, and the 2 interceptions. He also had 2 pass defended against. Does that count? Lions had 9 quarterback hits. Do the pass defended count as the interceptions? Does anybody know? Or are those is that a total of 4, what's the stat there? Okay, and then Trevor Nowaski, he had 5 tackles. Man, they didn't call his name at all. I didn't even see him out there. I'm glad he was number 5 on the tackle list, though. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's it. And then Ifeatu Melifonwu, he was 6th, runner up. Jake Bates was 2 for 2. His longest being 57. Is that a season long? Is 57 a season long, or is 58? I can't remember. And now he went for that 65-yarder, and he just couldn't tell if it was wide or too short. Okay, let's get to some team stats here. Team stats. Lions had 23 first downs. Niners had 29. Lions were 9 for 14 on 3rd down. Niners were 5 for 8. 4th down, Lions were 2 for 3. San Fran was 1 for 1. Lions ran 69 total plays of offense, where the 49ers ran just 60. Lions had 439 yards of total offense. The Niners had 475. Lions had 10 drives. The Niners had 9. Okay. Penalties. The Lions were 6 for 57 yards, and the Niners were 5 for 30 yards. I don't think the refs were that great, but I don't think they were bad either. Not really anything to complain about. For the most part, I would say they were probably above average for what we've dealt with all year. I'd probably give them a B- if I was to give them a grade. Lions had the ball for 34 minutes, 52 seconds. That's what 152 yards of rushing will do for you. They only had 75 team rushing yards. So they only had 25 minutes and 8 seconds of possession. So next week, I got some other stats for us too here. Didn't mean to cut that off. All right. Sam Laporta is the first tight end in NFL history to log at least 600 yards and 6 touchdowns in each of his first 2 seasons. Kerby Joseph has 16 career interceptions. That's the most interceptions a Lions player has recorded through 3 seasons since 1970 AFL-NFL merger. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is now the 5th most receptions in team history. He just passed Golden Tate Golden Tate had 416, by the way. Also, the Lions are the first team in NFL history to have 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers to produce at least 1,000 scrimmage yards in a single season. We've got St. Brown, Jameson Williams, David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs. They all have 1,000 yards of offense from the scrimmage line. So the Lions are also the only team in NFL history. The only 2 teams in NFL history to produce at least 35 passing touchdowns and 25 rushing touchdowns in a season. That is the 2024 Detroit Lions and the 2000 St. Louis Rams. And they did it in the same amount of games, too. So it's not like we even have that extra game, where it's like, we're going to start seeing more offensive accomplishments because we're playing one more offensive game a season, and that's even going to grow in the next few years when we boost it to 18 games. So you know how that goes. Oh, and Jared Goff is the only player in Lions history to throw for 3 touchdowns in 4 straight games. And I think we got one more here. Mr. Jake Bates, other than doing some crazy-ass yoga on the sidelines, he is the most points scored in a season in franchise history. He just passed Jason Hanson, who had 134 points in 2012. I can't believe Jason Hansen played in 2012. It seems like longer than that. Doesn't it? Doesn't it seem longer? We had Jason Hansen 12 years ago. I thought that must have been his last season or second to last season, right? I can't imagine that he did more than that. Also, one other little fun fact. This is the first game in the NFL since 1937 with 10 touchdowns and 0 points between two games. Isn't that crazy? Total score was 74 offensive points today. 74 offensive points between the two teams. So that's pretty wild, man. Wow. Lots to digest here. I'm happy with the way the Lions played. I mean, obviously their defense needs to step it up, and we will not get away with this. Well, I don't know. Maybe we will get away with it next week. Yeah, it's going to be a home game. It's going to be against Minnesota, who we already beat on the road, and we narrowly escaped against them, that time. But since this time it's at home, maybe it'll be easier for us. Who knows? We obviously can hang with them on offense. So even if it goes into a shootout, you have to think our defense just has to come up with one stop. That's it, just one stop. I know that's easier said than done sometimes, but I believe we can do it. I'm not worried. We will have the ones. We better get the 1 seed. Think of how miserable that will be if we don't get that 1 seed and that bye week. Man. And then I hear we will, there's a decent chance that we will have to go to LA to play. As the 5 seed, LA will be the 4th seed, and we will have to go there to take on Matthew Stafford, who I want to say a week or two ago, I would have been afraid to play LA, but I feel like they're sort of losing their momentum a little bit. I feel like they're starting to come down to earth a little bit. However, Jared Goff, we've not beaten the Rams in LA. So the first time we played the Rams was in LA, and we came up short that time. But that was our first season too. That was our first season where they made that switch, where Stafford's first season in LA and Goff's first season, for the Lions. We didn't win that one, but we've beat them every time since. So that's good. Yeah. All right. Feeling optimistic now. I would say that we're a better team since that first time we played them, and they're probably not as good. But that Puka Nacua, man, he's really good. And I feel like Cooper Kupp's fallen off a little bit, but man, you cannot take him lightly either. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. You can't count your chickens before they hatch. So I feel like that's it for me. I've yawned a whole lot on this one. I'll edit some of them out. So if you only hear me yawn once, that means, I've edited out the other 12. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. This has been the post-game show edition. Lions, we got this, man. Minnesota, let's go. One more game. Ford Field for all the marbles, for all the cookies, for all the Cheeto chips out there. We got this. I can't wait. Hey, we escaped San Francisco relatively healthy outside of a scratch on Jahmyr Gibbs' face. We came out of this game relatively healthy. So, with that said, let's go, Lions. Let's go. Jared Goff, give this guy an MVP award, will you? He's earned it. Most valuable player, for sure. On our team, yeah. All right. Take it easy, guys. I'll be back in a few days for that pregame show, the preview show against the Vikings. Adios, muchachos.